are we getting for a new deal?
This is a new one.
Bev, hold on.
Paul Winnick's done in a week. He's getting transferred somewhere else, so we're starting
Brandy.
over
Going
with
to
a new one.
DM of Health.
Brandy Cox is her
Brandy
name.
Oh, Brandy Cox.
Is it word 9 and 10?
Well, that's initially, I mean, that's what the petition was about, but I mean, I think from my understanding, that kind of just starts a discussion as to how things are going to shape. It's not necessarily going to be exactly that way, right? So what we don't know.
But government is looking just for the financial stuff for Ward 9 and 10. So as far as I'm concerned, the rest of us are left out. We're going to be the poor cousins. And my people don't like that.
This-
That's our
This
position.
table had 20 years to do something and did nothing. So the residents of wards 9 and 10 in Rainbow Lake did something.
That's fine.
I mean, there's obviously going to be discussions with all of the wards, right? With all the constituents.
Do you honestly think that's where the line is going to be? Because in my mind, I honestly think the municipal affairs is going to come down and say it's the river. Because that's the natural divide.
I think if this council made a decision to where the line should be.
But it's not this council's decision.
But it made a recommendation.
There's a whole nother municipality involved that we keep forgetting about.
Go ahead, Cam.
I thought during our last council meeting, I thought we had a discussion that we were going to discuss where we as a council thought the best divide would be, where it makes most sense for this municipality with all 10 of us at this table. I thought that's what the discussion that we were going to have. So now we're going to just cut it down to a 2-minute discussion. Like, let's talk about it.
That's exactly why we have this meeting.
Sure. Yep.
Okay, but how are we going to do that when this municipality, as Jackie said, has had 20 years to be transparent on, what's happening where? We've had 2.5 years since petition has been filed to actually look at it. We've asked for multiple years on expenses per ward, revenue per ward, what we're actually doing. We have yet to have a conversation around this table, why the petition was even completed to begin with. Why did the residents of wards 9 and 10, and even Rainbow Lake for that matter, view that this was their only option for adequate governance? To do a petition and send it to the municipal affairs. So I agree, maybe we need to have a conversation, but the last 2 times, this has been twice now, that this conversation has happened on a regional level on what the proper governance or adequate governance or a governance structure that actually moves this whole region forward looks like. And both times politics got involved and nothing changed or very little changed. A specialized municipality came out of the first one. So 2/3 majority vote. And, since then there has been a push to remove that specialized municipality status. Well, the reason why it was put in was because there was issues even back then that we've never actually discussed or tried to rectify. It just gets shuffled under the rug. So I don't really, I'm a little frustrated that all of a sudden this is going to turn political again. And it's not going to really be about what's best for all of the region. It's going to be a power struggle. And that's why we're kind of here to begin with.
Oh, you're right. For sure it is.
So what has stopped it before? What got in the way?
Politics. The government spent a fortune.
Specifically,
The government spent a fortune on doing a regional, what did they call that? Service I don't even know what they called that
Service
thing.
sharing agreement.
And it all got pushed under the rug a year later.
aye.
Because everything that came out of that regional consultation was that there should be 2 municipalities in between this table and the town of High Levels table. At the time, it became a, nope,
So is that from our admin, from council? I'm
that was
in the dark
council,
here.
that was councils at the time. That's probably 8-9 years ago.
I think it was councils and administration, because out of that after that last episode, and it was 250,000 that we got from the province to actually look at it.
We came up
Is-
with tri-council.
Yep,
which we don't
tri-council-
actually do anything
Yeah,
with.
tri-council protocol and actually looking at a tri-council governance structure on certain issues that looked at a regional, had a regional lens to it. There was shared servicing agreements, so looking at how to better operate airports, how could we, maximize purchasing, how could we eliminate some of the duplication? All of that went absolutely nowhere. And you've sat here for how long? What have we actually accomplished at a tri-council level?
Lunch and hold hands.
Besides food,
Yeah.
not a whole lot.
It's nice to meet your neighbors, but really.
So what do we want to do?
Well, I haven't sat here long enough to know all the history and all the politics. All the politics, but I would sure like to know, how we got here. To a certain degree anyway. I guess for me, it's a little frustrating not knowing the history or the past, and I guess it's just as much my fault as anybody else's, I guess, but to have a brief update of, how we got to this point, would probably certainly help me in understanding what's going on, so.
Well, I get, like, going back to Lisa's comment, like, when we first got on council, I think it was about 6 months after, I asked Karen for revenue by word. Yeah, I'll get it to you. We'll see if we can get it for next meeting. All of a sudden disappeared. Asked Bill, same question. Oh, no, can't get it. Ernie asked Jen. No, it's not. Why? Like, that's where we can start. And then if you really want to investigate it, where's the money being spent? Because that's a huge one.
I mean, we did have that 8 years ago in that study. I can't even remember what that thing is called.
Well, it wasn't able to be called a governance structure or covenant study because Mackenzie County made a motion to remove governance out of the title. And we weren't allowed really to look at governance out of that. And because a motion of council stands, the committee members that were at that couldn't really talk about actual governance. We had to look at service sharing and holding hands and how to make what the current structure was better. But there was options that they looked at. There was an option of, Lacrete becoming a town, because that was a longstanding issue, is that Lacrete should be incorporated and have their own governance structure. That was looked at. The numbers are all there. What the tax rates would do, what the service at the, current time with service levels, what would that look like? There was a look at how high level with a greater boundary, would that work? There was 2 municipalities. There was like a multiple different ways that they looked at that, but nothing was done with it after the fact except the fact that we'll do a tri-council protocol. We'll hold hands. We'll come up with what we're going to do, and we'll look at how to share services. But really nothing changed.
And they was as in municipal affairs, or who was they?
So there was all 3 municipalities. So Mackenzie County, Town of High Level, and Town of Rainbow Lake. And municipal affairs funded it. And then there was a contracting company, like a consulting company that was hired to kind of put it all together. And then Bill Sutherland was actually hired as the mediator, moderator, consultant, or whatever, to create the tri-council protocol. So it was actually with 2 different consultants and 2 different consulting firms that walked us through that, marriage counseling. And nothing's really changed.
But that initiative came from the town of High Level and the town of Rainbow Lake without the county knowing it. That's kind of pissed us off, and that's where it went.
Well, and
wrong.
actually, I think back on that now, if wards 9 and 10 would have known about that first,
We probably would have jumped on board.
probably.
Whatever. Just
I think the stem of the problem is everybody thinks that it's not quite fair. Right? People think that the vote isn't fair. Everybody's pointing fingers at each other to a certain extent, thinking, well, and it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're in Zama, or it doesn't matter if you're in the Creek. Somebody says, well, you know what? Why is Lisa's got the same vote as Peter? She's got 40 people to represent, and Peter's got a couple thousand. And then it goes on.
Our country's set up that way.
Yeah.
Are we gonna change it there too?
Have you forgot what Ontario and Quebec are like?
I'm just saying,
It's the same
is
thing.
there really an issue, or are people just thinking that there's a bigger issue than what there is? I don't know.
Okay, well, if you take, Cameron brings it up. So if you take federally, okay, in the federal system, Alberta is ticked off. Western Canada is ticked off because we don't have representation. We don't actually get our fair share back. We pay more than what we actually get, on and on and on. We're not represented. Our issues are not heard. Our voice is not heard. Nobody really gives a shit. Sorry about the French for everyone on YouTube. So we have that issue. In Alberta, we have that issue. that, okay, the north is left out. Everything goes to the big city centers or, that sort of, the belt in the center or whatever else, right down from road maintenance to capital projects to representation, you name it. We have that right here in this municipality and we do absolutely nothing to address that. You talk about think. No, it's not think. You look at our last even year's worth of agendas. What's on the agendas that we talk about at council? What's in our director's reports? Fire department statistics. There's multiple times. You actually go back and Google within our, or search within our Dropbox or whatever it's called, DocuShare, on how many times rural high level or ZAMA is represented in anything that we do. We have the last council meeting we sat here and you were talking about our 2 fire departments. We have more than 2 fire departments.
Just yesterday, our assessor informed us that Fort and Lacrete are the center of municipality.
There isn't a map
it
here that
just- it
shows, there
doesn't
isn't a
end.
map in this office that shows the full municipality. That one doesn't show the full municipality. That one doesn't show the full municipality. The one on the wall doesn't show the full municipality. The only thing that shows the full municipality is the pop-up thing behind this other pop-up thing that you can't actually see. The map that we were talking about drainage issues yesterday and culvert issue yesterday doesn't show the whole municipality. Doesn't even show that there's even issues on the north side of the river. Projects on the north side of the river.
Well, with all due respect to that, Lisa, money being spent, I guess I'm talking on behalf of rural. That's what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
I'll leave Zama out of it for now.
I'm a rural ward.
Yep, I get it, but I'm talking agriculture right now. If you can drive around and it doesn't matter where it is, for most part, 90% of the roads on the north side of the river are in better shape than the south side. 90%. Projects that have been done on the north side, projects that are scheduled to be done this year, where are they?
It's probably the first year in 10 years, though.
Yeah, I get it. And I get it that there's bad roads there too. I totally get it. For sure there are. I'm not saying that there's not. But when I look at the drainage problems, when I look at the road conditions, the people that are, and I guess I'm talking about farmers in particular right now. It doesn't matter what happens here, farmers are going to lose. We have 8 out of 10 people sitting on this at this table right now that represent farmers and partially Hamlet as well. And for most part, every one of these people get it that Fort Vermilion and Lacrete are hamlets, and we need to spend money in those communities because they support all of rural.
Do they? See, there. No.
But
Fort and
but-
Lacrete do
but
not
what do they-
support
I'm
rural
not
ZAMA
quite
or
done.
rural
Just-
high level.
You
So you only speak
finish.
on a
You
portion.
can say whatever you want when I'm done, okay? Please?
Yeah, but we have 3 hamlets in this municipality.
No,
I
we
get
have
it.
to.
I said I leave Zama out of it for now. I'm just talking about rural, right? Just about agriculture right now.
Okay,
Just
but
about
you are-
agriculture.
okay,
No,
okay,
I'm
back-
not.
no, 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 back
I'm
that
not
up.
quite done yet.
For
Lisa,
for 2 decades,
Please.
for 2 decades,
Lisa.
for 2
Lisa.
decades, the
Holy-
Lisa.
oil field in this region
Lisa,
supported rural, supported
Lisa.
agriculture. Well, just make sure you put that into your argument.
Lisa, I'm not quite finished yet. And I would appreciate if you would let me finish, and I will not interrupt you as well either. Okay?
Well, you can't mute me because I'm here this time.
I know. Yep, that's right. And as far as what you just said goes, how many of these farmers in here didn't build their farms off of oil and gas? There is not a single person in here that wants to see any oil and gas activity hurt. Not a single person. Not a single person. Not one. I've spent time in the oil and gas. So has my family. So has pretty much every single person that sits at this table. They want to do whatever they can to make sure that there's a good environment to create taxes and to create jobs and to create money for our municipality. And it doesn't matter right now which way it goes. It doesn't matter if there's any kind of split. And I'm not saying right, wrong, or otherwise. I'm saying something that people should think about, especially the people that are into agriculture at all, is how's it going to look when because if there's going to be a divide, the representation is going to be completely different. Guaranteed. Guaranteed there's going to be a bigger number of people. There'll be less variance between how many people get represented by how many people. For sure there will be. So all of a sudden you have a egg county represented by how many people from within hamlets? And we all know exactly what kind of flavors there are from within hamlet towards agriculture and taxes and on and on and on and on. And I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or otherwise. I'm just saying that there's a lot more to think about than just, well, I'm mad right now because I don't think it's fair. And to say that the people aren't getting treated fairly, I don't get it. I could scream all day long about stuff that goes on in my ward, and I don't. Because I get it. I get it. We're struggling. We don't have money as a municipality. We don't. We have neighbors that think that we have tons of money. We don't. I'm not asking for everything to be fixed either, but I mean, I think we need to all grow up a little bit and realize that it's maybe not quite as bad, and we should be careful for what we ask for, because sometimes you might just get what you ask for, and it's not always ideal.
Am I allowed to speak now?
Please.
So you just did it. There's only 2 hamlets in this municipality, and they serve us all. They do not. This table fights tooth and nail to not have to give High Level anything, and High Level is the service center for the majority of rural High Level and a portion of Rocky Lane. Well, I wasn't going to throw Ford in there, but
We could throw Zama in there.
it's, I know that this table thinks that Fort and Lacrete are the service area to everybody. They're not.
I was talking agriculture.
Yeah, there is agriculture in High Level and Rocky Lane,
Absolutely there is.
and they don't drive to Lacrete or Fort.
Unless they need parts or a post pounder or yada, yada, yada.
Not always. We do actually get some stuff in High Level. It's not the shithole of the north like some people would like to portray it.
Did you see what Beth posted on Facebook today?
I don't care what Beth posted. Where do you haul your grain? High Level would actually be the service center to a whole lot of ag now that they have the elevator.
I'm not sure what High Level has to do with this conversation right now, really, because I mean, we have paid them very handsomely. And I think if I recall from that last study that was done, and so I'm not sure if there's any admin here that recalls what the findings were, but to my understanding, it was pretty much down the lines of they're being paid quite well, and Rainbow wasn't being paid quite as well.
What study are you referring to?
That one that you were mentioning before, that service sharing agreement, governance, whatever it was.
Nichols Applied Management.
Yeah, the Nichols
Maybe
Applied
we should
Management. I
share
think
that with all of council so some of them have a clue what we're talking about.
We've had 2.5 years to pull that off a DocuShare somewhere, because who knows if we can actually find it.
It's not on there.
It's not on there. So that everybody actually sees what actually, the actual facts that came out. They did huge public consultations across the region. They looked at all of the finances for all 3 municipalities. But if you actually looked at the petition, if you actually talked to anyone who actually signed it, money it's definitely part of it, but it's not the big part. It's actually governance that looks after what they think is important. It's governance that looks at economic development in areas for them. We don't even do that. What have we done as economic development other than agriculture and the hamlet of Lacrete? And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing at all. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that we are a municipality of multiple areas and multiple communities, and some of that needs to be shared across the board. And going back to my interruption is that for years and years, even before, when it was an ID, it all went to the province. When it was an individual, when it started to be an MD, and then when it became a Mackenzie, when it actually turned to Mackenzie County as the name change, nothing changed to the fact that certain areas of this municipality were the revenue generators, and certain areas of this municipality were the build outs. Oil and gas, not oil and gas service centers or whatever else, but oil and gas taxes, linear taxes in this region over the last 30 years have built Fort and Lacrete.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's where the money went. That's where, all of that infrastructure, that's where even directors, that's where municipal offices, that's where, and I don't begrudge that. Even the community of Zama doesn't begrudge that. But yet whatever actually came back. We got a little bit here and there. It took 10 years to get a water treatment plant that we didn't have to have water looking like iced tea. We got a little bit of pavement, just enough to shut us up to do the road. It took a study and, you know, what, a year and a half of individuals sitting on a committee to decide which direction the road should go, the main road, when oil and gas turned it over to the municipality. It took over a year to decide whether that road should go where it is now or whether it should go through Assumption to Rainbow Lake. And we got 75% funded to turn that main road, the Assumption or the main Zama road, we got 75% funding to upgrade that road from an oil company LOC to what it is now. And do you know how long that took? 5 years to upgrade that road.
What don't you have in Zama that you need to have from the county?
A voice. Turned it over to the municipality.
Sorry.
A voice to be able to look at, okay, we've been talking about for how long on ratepayer meetings 15 years ago even started, is that some of those roads in Zama should actually be municipal roads. They shouldn't all be owned by the oil company, because you had one oil company multiple times throughout the history that have ruled the roost on who else could develop out there because of road use agreements. When Apache owned the roads, we actually sent them a letter and all the rest of it, found out that, yeah, they dropped the day after that they got the letter, they dropped road use agreement substantially. But it was still extremely difficult to actually have any of our other operators or any of our other ratepayers actually operate out there. Have we done anything? We're now sitting looking at, you know, Caribou range planning and sub-regional range planning, where you have all of the roads out there except for the Zama access road, including the secondary access that goes through, you know, Assumption and back to Rainbow Lake. So the only other way out of Zama that we have yet to actually talk about taking over as a municipal road. We have the road to the lake that we have yet to talk about taking over as a municipal road. It's not even an agenda item.
Actually,
I don't even think it would pass around this council table to actually look at taking over the trunk roads, because we had a motion on the books years ago to do that. We had budget funding in the budget to actually do that. And what happened? You look at our action list. That is, what are we up to? 5 or 6 pages long?
It's not only who gets what. We get a letter from the government of Alberta that says, give us your top 2 projects. How are you supposed to pick 2 projects in a municipality this size? Where do you think they always end up? Of course they do. Why wouldn't they? But how do you, we're too big.
We're too
It
big.
should not take you 3 hours to drive from one side of the municipality to the other.
Wow, when the director of whatever Dave was, says he didn't have time that year to get to the north side of the Peace River Bridge.
At 2 different meetings, because I
let's
asked that same
let's
question.
refrain from throwing too much staff under the bus in this conversation. This is a council discussion. Let's keep it at that.
No, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm just saying, responding to Jackie's comment about us being too big. When a director says he didn't have time that year to get to the north side of the Peace River Bridge in that year,
I don't.
you got a problem. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus here.
So now we've gone in circles a few times and we've entertained some few people that are listening. So what do you want to do now?
It's not up to this table, though. That's
think it
the
is.
So
point.
that's,
I think it is.
It was.
I think it's still.
For the
is.
last 20 years, it was. And the ratepayers took it into their own hand. It is not up to this table anymore.
I don't believe that for a
This
second.
table had tons of time to do something and they did nothing.
I will guarantee you, if we were to actually be unanimous and make a line and agree upon it and took it back there, that's exactly what would happen.
Oh, so we want to have the power over Rainbow Lake? Because that's what you're saying. There's a whole nother municipality involved in this. Do you not understand that?
No, I don't actually.
Well, maybe we need to have this conversation with Rainbow Lake Council as well.
But again, this is not political.
It's not, their council didn't do this. It's not a council decision. We had 20 years to make it political and councils do it, and they didn't do it. So the ratepayers have done it.
And there was a structure and a format through the MGA to allow that to happen.
Well,
And
I
why
will
the province
guarantee
hasn't
you-
actually followed through with their requirement under the MGA to actually look at it in a timely manner is beyond me.
If this council doesn't stand together and actually make that line, I will guarantee you, this discussion will happen here 20 years from now again.
Well, that's exactly why we're here. That's exactly why we're here, because politics got involved the last 2 times this has been going around this region.
Mhm.
But then it plays lip service to keep the, what, power struggle or the tagline that we're the biggest municipality in the province. I don't really know what the motivation is to keep a dysfunctional municipality together.
Okay, so you guys represent your ratepayers. Where do you think the line should be? If you were to guess, because I know where my
Naturally and
rate-
logically, the Peace River.
I know where my ratepayers stand, and I could probably speak for 99% of them that Fort Vermilion would like to be with the north. So if it's the river, I don't know how that works for us. If we get screwed out of this, or
Well, I'm,
we go to a referendum to stay with the north side. I don't know.
You could always go with the river and add the hamlet of Fort Main into that side if that would be the option.
Because yesterday we had a protest, and that was a conversation that we had is, should we be starting another petition? And I said, no, because the process has already started with the petition from wards 9, 10 and Rainbow Lake. So maybe we do, I don't know. But from what I'm hearing now, no, that process has already started.
it started, but it's up to the minister. That's the problem. We're sitting here trying to make a decision that isn't ours to make.
No, it's not. But I have to agree with Duffy that if we should have some sort of influence in where us as a council sees where the most logical sense would be to
So-
split.
So what are you doing with Rainbow Lake then?
Well, Rainbow Lake would be amalgamated into the new municipality.
Do they want to be? They want it to be amalgamated into wards 9 and 10. Do they want wards 9, 10, 8, 7? How many do they want?
Maybe we need to have that conversation with them.
Yes, precisely. And the people that signed the petition didn't sign for what we're sitting here trying to do right now.
Actually, and some of them I've been told were actually threatened to sign it.
Were they?
And some of them totally regret signing it. Just throwing it out there.
Everybody always comes up with bullshit afterwards. That's nothing new. Depends on who you're talking to.
Regardless of the fact of whatever everyone says now, is that the petition was legal, valid, and worthy of consideration over 2.5 years ago.
And I'm well aware, Walter, that 99% of Rocky Lane thinks of themselves as should be part of this. But
Comment,
there
Jenny?
wasn't enough people in that ward that would actually take that petition and sign it.
I'm sorry, but if we were allowing, I know, but if we're allowing gallery members to speak, then maybe the gallery members or the people individual, or that actually are directly affected by the petition wards 9 and 10, maybe we should be having this meeting where they can actually attend at noon on a work day without having to travel 2.5 hours to come for it.
How many people are signed in?
32 right now.
Missed the first 5 or 10 minutes prior.
You haven't missed anything. Same thing over and
Okay,
over.
but I thought we were in camera for the whole meeting. We're not in camera if we have gallery.
We've had
Okay,
this
public.
argument for the last 2 days on group message. This part is not in camera.
Third, sorry, yeah, if, I guess, depending on, there'd be items that you could discuss under this heading, I guess, that could qualify for in-camera, but just the general conversation doesn't meet the criteria for in-camera or for closed meeting.
Thank you.
So I guess that was kind of the wish the other day when I guess I brought it up to make this special meeting, is to have exactly this conversation and for us to actually figure out, okay, so if the government says that where we decide the line goes means nothing, but if we were actually to each draw our own line and decide for everybody's own zone, Cameron says they want to go with the north. You guys have a line where you figure it should be. If everybody picks their own line and find a neutral line and present it that way, I think it would definitely speak volumes.
Do you understand how this petition got started and why the line is where it is? Does
I have a
anybody at
good
this table
idea.
know why the line is where it is? because nobody from Ward 8 could guarantee that they could get enough signatures, meaning the petition would have been in the garbage if Ward 8 was part of it and they didn't get enough signatures. Ward 7 and Ward 6 can't be part unless Ward 8 were, because they don't touch. That is why the line is where it is.
Well, where is the line then? There is no line.
Ward 9, Machesis Lake Road.
That's the petition line, but there is no line.
That is where the line for the petition was drawn, and that's why it was drawn,
Go ahead, Byron.
where
Yeah.
it is.
So obviously I can't speak to the history of things, but I guess is a little bit, I guess, just as far as what municipal affairs is currently considering. The petition tabled with the line between wards 8 and 9 is what is the formal submission that received right sufficient support from the public and is considered a valid petition. So that is right now, at least at the administrative level, that is the line, the one and only line that municipal affairs is considering, and the information that we have been requested to provide as far as any breakdowns, I guess, as far as budget projects, tax revenue and so forth. The only division we've been asked to provide is to separate wards 9 and 10 from wards 1 through 8. So that's the only line that's being considered administratively or bureaucratically at this time, because that aligns with the petition. They have made a couple comments. We haven't had many conversations with them either, but they have made some comments essentially stating that because both councils, Mackenzie County and Rainbow Lake made similar motions around kind of, I won't say supporting the petition, but right, not contravening or not specifically opposed to what was presented in that petition. They say they don't have anything on the table to formally, I guess, on their end to kickstart the review of where that line is. So that's, I guess, just kind of the structurally as far as what they're officially reviewing. That's a little bit of what we've been advised.
I find that as a struggle, considering that municipal affairs paid $250,000 not that many years ago to look at this exact same thing, and multiple options were on the table at that. All they have to do is go back, and it was all had to be submitted to municipal affairs. So for them not to have that information up until quite, a couple of years ago or a few years ago, and not actually be able to pull some of that information on their own baffles me. But we've gone through multiple ministers, multiple DMs at that level. And it's, and for the minister to sit at this table and say, well, we're just going to kick the can down the road until after the next provincial or after the next municipal election. Why? Why is that? What difference does it make if there's a municipal election involved?
The only difference it might make is who's sitting at this table.
Not even, because whatever happens, whatever the decision is, comes into effect at that point, and then, the by-elections happen or whatever.
I mean, I'm not going to speak.
So
on
we're
the-
not, well, no, but I'm just saying, so what was the point? To kick the can down after, so what? The changes wouldn't happen until 4 years down the road? There are areas in this municipality that are already struggling and have no support from their governance structure.
Lisa.
So no, so another 4 years, are we waiting for certain areas of this municipality to just be choked off so that there isn't a voice there at all? I've sat here long enough to know that there is a big push around this to do boundary reviews based on population. That there should be less representation on the north side of the river. So are we waiting for that to happen? To do another boundary review to have less representation on the north side of the river so that the voices are even quieter? Like, I'm not sure what the motivation is to drag this out for 2.5 years.
like I
And to
say,
say
I'm
that
not-
this municipality or certain members of this municipality didn't have a input into that?
I'm not going to speak on behalf of the provincial government, obviously, but I mean, I
Well, he
think,
sat here in a public meeting and said that they were going to kick the can down the road. That was exact words till after the next.
well, but I'm going to
municipal
just say, I
election.
mean, with all things considered, with everything that's going on in today's world, if I was an MLA right now, having some people squabble in the big scheme of things would probably not be a high priority. When we have everything else that's going on between economics and COVID and who knows what else,
This
this
started,
would probably not take precedent.
this started long before all those excuses. And if you think this is a squabble, that's part of the reason why we're at this table having this squabble.
I will go back to Shay Anderson, Minister of Municipal Affairs. I think, what spring was that? Sorry. Shay Anderson, Minister of Municipal Affairs. And I talked to him. We're at our conference, March conference. Might have been 2019. He knew all about those petitions. And that was the NDP minister, right? And now I just hear what Lisa's saying, and I think it's probably okay for me to say that right now our government of Alberta, I mean, there's lots going on, all kinds of tough stuff, but they are paying more attention to politics when we talk about our future up here than the Municipal Government Act. And I think that's a mistake. That MGA has been created and refined and reviewed for reasons, good reasons. And they shouldn't be parking those petitions and the reasons why the people are unhappy. Needs to be reviewed. And again, people talk about whether it's our decision or not. It's people. It's the people of the region. And there's a lot of upset people that we don't see. We don't see them.
But the people of the region have representatives in place for that exact reason. You have your people to represent. We all do. And between the people at this table, I know for a fact that we have the power to make that decision. That is an absolute guarantee.
We should not have that power over a whole nother municipality, but I'm glad you have that power.
I'm not saying I do. I said we do.
No, we don't.
We do, actually.
Okay, well,
If we were to draw that
Uninclude me
line,
from the we then, because we are leaving out a whole nother municipality.
Peter?
I've sat here for 17 years and, you know, I've seen a lot of stuff and yeah, we've talked about doing all kinds of different ways of doing stuff and how to better get along. And even today, I say it still hasn't changed. We have a very large municipality. We have many different groups of people. I think the best thing to do would be to try and split it fairly so that we could all agree on it and look at the resource revenue on both sides, split that fairly and be good neighbors and work together. That's where I'd like to see it go. And I think that's the best way to go forward. But that's my opinion. Don't all agree with me, I know.
No, I do. It's time to get a divorce.
Yeah, it is. High time. Because it's not gonna change. It hasn't in 17 years and it won't now, unless we get something done and accomplish something that works for the people too.
Josh.
Go ahead, Eric.
I hope I'm not out of line. These comments go back last August in the Wellness Center in the Crete, right? And I know how hard people in the Crete and councillors and so on are pushing to create that. But when that became a question for the whole region, it didn't go through. And at that time, I remember making comments to people that were phoning me and councillors and so on, saying that if this was the Crete itself or a municipality tightly connected to the Crete, you'd have had your wellness center, right? And I know the power of that community and the people and the dedication. And that's, you know, it's a little kind of connected to what Peter's saying, but I can see value in that. It might make things a lot easier. Myself, over 10 years or whatever it's been, sorry.
Is that Disney Channel?
Sorry. I'm number of times I've been surprised. I come to a meeting and I don't know what's happening. It's coming. It's come out of nowhere. It's been massaged in the background and all of a sudden it's there and I didn't know it's coming. And that's an agenda, a greased agenda. And I don't know how many times other
Makes you
councils
feel
have
like
seen
you're at
that,
a Boreal
but
housing
it's-
meeting.
It's been a concern for me. You know, we can over time create the list of these sort of things, but I think it's just fair enough to acknowledge that it hasn't been smooth.
Well, just to
You
add
know,
to that,
and-
the plebiscite on the original pool, if you want to go back to that, the only ward that voted in favor of that was Ward 10. The only ward that said, yeah, if Lacrete wants a pool, we'll help pay for Lacrete to get a pool.
Yeah.
You want to explain your Boreal housing meeting comment?
Can somebody let Peter talk? He's
Just
been
echoing
trying
what
for like 2
Eric had to
minutes.
say.
That wasn't echoing.
But I've heard the comments, Lacrete becoming a town. I don't think that that's the answer. I think we've all seen small towns suffer badly. I think you need a municipality around it to support it and move on.
I don't think Lacrete becoming a town is an option.
No.
I don't think it's the answer either because the county is still too big.
Mhm.
It should not take you 3 hours to get from one end of your county to the other.
Lisa, when you say that, that Ward 10 was in full support of it, Where were they when we were trying to make, when we wanted to do it now?
What's our municipal revenues now?
That's not what I asked.
Where's our municipal revenues now? When that original plebiscite came by to build the actual pool and not a $40 million wellness center or whatever the heck it was, there was money to be able to do that.
And it wasn't nearly that much.
And it wasn't nearly that much. But what I'm saying is to go back to what Eric said. But originally, again, when the money was good and everything was going and, everyone support their neighbor.
Oh, for sure.
But again, it's kind of like, it's one-sided. Even the support is one-sided. I've sat here for 17 years, and for 17 years, there has been conversation that the North has too much representation, that we need to do boundary reviews. One of the reasons why boundaries require 2/3 majority vote is exactly that, to protect the ability to just change whim. The reason why there is a motion that 2/3 or to add an agenda item and have unanimous support to move any sort of action forward was to, in other words, to protect what was actually happening.
But don't you see that? Like, don't you understand that Peter's voice is no more to the whole region than your 40 people?
40
Like-
people.
Like, how does
That's
that?
that's what it boils down to you, is 40 people. Just 40 people.
At some point,
When it comes
everybody
down,
at some point, everybody at this table should look at the last municipal census. Because Lacrete, actually, the hamlet of Lacrete actually has less people over the age of 18 than I have in my ward. But he has more of a voice than I do.
That's people over the age of 18?
Yeah, you guys have big populations,
Yeah.
but they're all young.
Young people, lots of young people.
Lots and lots of young people.
did you have just as many voters as what Peter did?
Probably not, because nobody's bothered to vote in my ward because nobody runs anymore. They've had it. They don't want anything to do with politics.
That's across
Yeah.
the
It's
municipality.
all over. But in my opinion, again, I think if this table could find 2/3 majority, where how to do it and how we thought would be fair, that we could agree, the minister would sign off tomorrow. If we would find 2/3 at this table, I'm sure they would.
But that
Yes,
goes
but
back to
how
where
are you
Jackie
leaving out
says
a whole nother
that
municipality?
I don't know that. That's a discussion municipal affairs would have with them then or whatever. But I think if this table found 2/3, it would happen.
But my point is, this table had 20 years to do it and didn't do it, and now there's another municipality
I
involved. Now
agree.
we want to play the bully in the room and do it.
Oh, but not even that. This year, this municipality or this region has had 2.5 years to sit down and actually figure out, park the Eagles at the damn door and actually say what moving forward makes sense for everyone to thrive, to be more than just sustainable, to actually thrive,
Or
for
maybe,
good governance, and to how to make it work and whatever. We've had 2.5 years just since the petition was filed. And you're right, it was filed under the previous government. So it's gone through a provincial election.
maybe municipal affairs needs to do their job and send somebody up and go meet with the people of town
Mhm.
Rainbow Lake, not councilors, the people.
I agree.
Because municipal affairs actually corresponded with any of the they've corresponded with what, Reeve and the CAO of 2 municipalities,
It
or
was-
maybe 3?
It was my name on the bottom of the petition as the signing person because somebody had to be. The only communication I've got is because I'm a member of Mackenzie County Council, not because my name was on that petition.
There's been no communication with the actual people that pushed this petition forward.
that's not something for us to take in
Well, it kind of is.
how.
Well,
We're responsible for governance of this region.
That's part of the
Right,
reason
of
why I
this
keep
municipality.
blaming this council for pushing it under the rug somewhere behind somebody's back.
How long did it take
Because
for
it's
that
either this
petition?
council doing it or it's municipal affairs doing it. I'm not sure.
How long did it take for that petition to get to this council? It didn't even, was it a year and a half before it actually made it to the agenda that we acknowledged it?
No, I told you that it was happening before it was actually handed into the minister.
No, but
As an agenda item.
as an agenda item.
Oh.
It was well over a year and a half, I believe, before it actually got to this table to actually have a discussion over. Why is that?
Because it's not important.
Important to who though? Who's stopping it? Is it you? Is it the CEO?
Did somebody try to bring it forward?
Lisa and Jackie mentioned it several times.
Did they ever ask to have it added to an agenda item, as an agenda item?
Why would I? I don't need to discuss
I don't
it.
think that, yeah, you're missing the point, Josh.
As
No,
a
but-
municipality, when a major part of your population wants out, maybe you ask why.
Yeah.
When your wife wants a divorce, you ask why. Unless you already know.
No, that's not a good place to ask why.
But what I said here, in my opinion, I've shared that just the same way with our current MLA. Because I believe we should do it. I really believe it.
I think we're too big.
Yeah.
How many times have we sat here and got a letter from transportation saying, okay, what's your two biggest projects?
I know. We always fight about it and then we end
Oh,
up
yeah.
nowhere. We
It's
end
a
up
big
nowhere.
war because in all honesty, one big project on that end of the county and one on that end of the county. If we were down south, we'd have 10 because we'd have 10 municipalities in this little area.
So where are we going with this? Are you going to support a line somewhere else, or you just want to leave it the way it is, let the government decide?
I want the minister to do his job.
agree.
I
So
honestly think,
we're talking here for nothing then.
yeah, but I don't want to
Well,
decide
that's
where
my
the line
point.
is because it's not my decision. And I don't think it's this
Well,
table's decision.
Okay, but you look at other areas. Okay, when Cold Lake area went through restructuring and through,
I really
disappropriation.
don't
No,
care
no,
about it.
amalgamation and
We're
all the rest of
here-
it.
we're talking
Municipal
Mackenzie
affairs.
County. You want to bring everything into this, Lisa, I don't have enough time to discuss
I
everybody
know, but what
else's
I'm
problem.
saying though,
We've got a
Walter.
problem here, let's deal with this problem here, not everybody else's, please.
No, but what I'm saying is
I
that
know what you're
this,
saying.
this region here has had 20 years to deal with the problem. But if you actually look at other areas, what municipal affairs, the department, that is their part of their job, is they actually send up individuals to actually pull the information, to look at it, to talk to the people and actually come up with options. They're not doing their job. We've had our chance to do our job and we can't figure that out.
So why are you guys so freaking stubborn that you won't put a line on the map?
Because it shouldn't be political.
Okay, then if it's not up to us and if we don't want to go that route, then we don't need to have any further conversation
Then I
on
don't
this.
think we should discuss it, but I'd just like to say, I still think that, yes, dealing with high level and Rainbow Lake, that's up to municipal affairs. I think if we can find the 2/3 majority here, I'm sure we can find a way to move forward.
Well, they're very clear that that's not what they want to do.
Well, and then.
So then we-
No,
No
it's-
No use
I didn't
discussing it
say it's
then.
not what I want to do. I don't think it's our place to do that.
Okay, well then
You want me to
then,
draw a line on the map personally? I would draw it at the river. But not as a counselor because it's not my place to do it at this table.
okay,
had that
then we're
chance for the
wasting our
last
time
10
having
years.
this conversation right now.
I understand, but if we could find consensus and we take it forward, then the ratepayers would have their input and then we would move forward from there.
Maybe
Okay.
we should just find consensus to tell the minister to look at a larger region and not draw a line.
That's
At this point.
that's fine with me.
That's
Like
fine.
if
That's
you're
fine
gonna
with
let
me
them
too.
make that decision, it will drag on for another 20 years.
Yeah.
We're not gonna bring them forth what we can agree on. It's just not gonna move.
Okay, but who can agree on though?
Eric?
What our 10 counselors right sitting here? Or what?
100%.
Or what the people can agree on?
Go ahead,
What
Eric.
the town of Rainbow Lake and the people that live in the town of Rainbow Lake can agree on?
When we had Dan Williams here, what, 2 weeks ago or so, we had quite a chat. And I remember clearly asking him what he thought about these petitions and so on, because to me, there was a lot more than just the issues there with 2 wards in Rainbow Lake. And what I got back from Dan Williams is that they were prepared to look at the bigger issue, the bigger concerns. That's what I felt out of that. And I'm hoping that that's the same as the minister and the leads within municipal affairs. And I don't think we're wasting time here, Josh. The discussion has to happen. Can we create consensus and have an effect? I think we probably would have an effect. But I don't think that we should say that we make those decisions ourselves as 10 councillors, because there's a lot more to it.
But if
But the
we,
discussion's good.
We make a recommendation.
if we decide on where the line should be, then there would be a discussion or a study to see, hey, is this going to work?
Yeah.
Just like what the petition is asking for.
Yeah, exactly. If we
Yeah,
would
it
make a
could be found out to
recommendation,
Rainbow and whoever else, all
That's right.
the words.
we won't make the full decision anyhow, but
That's
make a recommendation. Then it would give the government an opportunity to look at it and have some more discussion and move this one step forward.
So if,
That's how I
if
see it.
we want to make a recommendation, then we should make a recommendation on where the line should be and take Rainbow Lake out of it, town of
Yeah,
Rainbow Lake,
for
and stay
sure.
a town.
For sure. I agree 100%. Then it's up to municipal affairs to deal with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jackie.
That means we're doing what we should have did 20 years ago.
I agree with you
They
there
they
too.
can decide whether they want to come with us.
Yeah. Municipal
people can
affairs can
decide.
have that discussion with
That's
them,
right.
let them decide. We can look at our part. How we can work together better and split it up so that it's kind of fair and move on.
And if it means nothing, it means nothing, but at least we stand together, come up with something, maybe we can push it.
And I have no problem supporting the river if that's what you want, and the Hamlet of Fort Main going with the north side, if that's what they want. I have no issue supporting that.
Okay, so
I'll
how, are-
support it today.
so how are we drawing the line?
So
We're just
now,
gonna, just gonna sit with a
so
map?
now we're gonna have to do a plebiscite or a vote or what?
What?
Well, you know damn well, there's not gonna be 100% of Fort Vermillion that wants to be part of the
I
north
was
side of
listening
the
to the
river.
counselor, the elected counselor.
99%.
That's what I heard there, and that's what I based my comment on.
So what are we, so what, when we're gonna sit down and draw this line, we're all gonna get a map and a marker? Or we're
Mhm.
gonna actually get some of the facts? We're gonna see what? Historical, where the money's come from, where the
doesn't
money's
matter.
gone, where
The
the,
money
where the
doesn't
culture, no,
matter.
but where the
Makes no
culture is,
freaking
where,
difference.
where the governance
know
is,
where it is.
Money
Like,
doesn't
come on.
infrastructure.
If it's,
The money
Well,
doesn't
we-
matter.
Everybody says the money doesn't
doesn't.
matter, but at the end of the day, it's always about the money.
end of the
That's
day,
what
it's
it's
the
about.
money, but.
Well, it's gonna be sustainable.
But they're gonna figure that
Let
out.
the
They're gonna
government, let
figure out,
municipal
doesn't matter
affairs.
where the line gets cut. They're gonna figure out how, who can, they're not gonna wanna choke out one and make the other flourish.
We all know one half's gonna pay money to the other half, so it's sustainable. Like, come on, the money doesn't matter.
The money
Let
should stay
municipal
out of it.
affairs work on that one. Let's just find a common ground, and then we put that forward, and then municipal affairs can investigate it from there.
Okay, let's take a quick break. Eric would like to have a quick break, so.
Pizza's still warm.
Yeah, go ahead, guys.
We'll call back to order. So, what's council's wishes?
The letter that we wrote to municipal affairs in support of the petition also had a clause in there, and we don't, of course, have it because, you know, we don't actually have any paperwork to, you know, deal with the agenda item. But it also said in there to, you know, consult with the region and, you know, talk, I can't remember what the wording was. But it was basically requesting municipal affairs to get up here and do their job. Was it not? So what's changed since then? And I realize that COVID and all the rest of it, but, you know, and there's, you know, there's hard discussions all over this province, but this is one of ours and it needs to happen. And even with COVID, it's probably easier for them to do it because you can do it virtually. They don't even have to even get in the car and understand the distance, which is a detriment to us because they don't understand what it takes to drive from one end of this municipality to the other. So why is municipal affairs not doing what their legislative requirement to do based on the valid petition? Does anyone have a copy of the letter that we actually stated?
Oh, thanks for sending that out, Peter.
I'll agree to write a letter to municipal affairs that says we're interested in a larger area than that one. I am not willing to write a line on the map of where I think it should be, because it's not my choice.
That's right.
What would the process be to determine that line?
Yeah.
Municipal affairs is
People
gonna have.
sitting here probably got the most knowledge of the money, the workings of government. The John Q. Public, there's a few that understand, but
Yeah. I
not
agree.
very many.
Okay, so the letter that we actually sent, what was the date that we sent this? Because of course the public
August-
can't see it.
August of last year, I think.
August 21st of 2020. Mackenzie County is in receipt of your letter dated June 26, 2020, requesting the county's current position with respect to the petition submitted in 2019. Mackenzie County Council reviewed your letter on July 15th, 2020, and has confirmed their previous position to support the petition to form a new municipality. As stated in our letter in March 2, 2020, we request your personal presence to participate in a collaborative conversation and process regarding the potential municipal boundary options and financial viability of all entities. Given that residents of Mackenzie County Wards 9 and 10 and the town of Rainbow Lake submitted this petition, we feel that public input as identified in the Municipal Government Act is essential in concluding this matter. So we've requested this how long ago and they're not doing it? We requested to actually look at potential municipal boundaries.
So
We've asked them to, you know, again, public input. So why are we not holding their feet to the fire to say you have a valid petition followed by the rules of the MGA that allow allow the electors to do so, follow through? And what's a timeline for that? Because the petition was put in 2019.
well, like we were told the other day, it's going to be after this fall.
Why would they have made that decision to wait until after municipal elections? Is that what they've decided? Waiting until then? I
They were
don't
very
understand.
clear.
I
That's
don't
what the
understand
minister
why.
stated.
I mean, they've had some shufflings with municipal affairs and then to my knowledge again now. So
Roy Bedford
staff.
hasn't shuffled.
The staff are still there. The deputy ministers, ADMs and all the people in between are still there. It's,
DM is new now.
okay.
No, but I agree for the provincial government to look at this. I'm sure they would like some input from the local, like Walter says.
well, that's what we asked for here.
That's it at the table. I know. And so
They haven't asked for any.
Yeah, well, they've asked for information concerning these wards.
They haven't actually asked Mackenzie County Council for any input.
And the only thing they did ask was representation on a task force of one, Reeve and CAO of the actual municipality, not from the actual, any of the, public that signed the petition or anything for that matter. And then when both municipalities involved, Rainbow Lake and the town and Mackenzie County, send back in, we want all of council and the CAO there. Where's that gone?
Well, now they don't need anybody.
Now they don't need anybody.
They've asked for information. So I mean, they're gathering information right now. To my knowledge, they're asking for information. It's being gathered by
What information have they asked for? Have we actually gotten a written statement of what they've actually asked for?
I haven't seen it.
Because
I
when the
mean,
petition
I'm
went
not
in, they
sure
got a
exactly
really
what it
big
is.
bucket of information.
Pardon me?
When the petition went in, they got a really big bucket of information.
Isn't that what Len was talking about the other day? They had asked for information?
Yeah, all that we've received to date is they sent what was referred to as a CAO workbook. And they're very specific that it was geared towards administration. It was not to be a political, right? Politics were not supposed to be involved in the answers. So like, I guess we could share the questions. You will have to fire me before I share the responses. Because there's, right, they ask about governance, they ask about issues. A lot of it is just numbers, but it's also what are those underlying things, right? They wanted candid responses from both municipalities administration. So I guess we could share the questions with you. There's no secret in that, but that's the extent of the information that's been requested at this time.
Personally, I think you should share the questions and each one of us should answer them because each one of us has a different view.
There'd be, yeah, because especially around some of the, they did pull it up here. Just give me one.
So are those questions going to be asked of the actual people that live in this region? That not just the 10 of us around this table or the one administrative staff that filled it out? Like when do the people actually get to act, be on record? Because again, they were on record twice through a process very similar to what's supposed to happen now. And politics got involved and derailed it.
So if you'd like some of the first ones kind of start off with as we're talking about governance. There's not too much on that before it does get more into just the numbers and more technical level. How do you do your budget and those kinds of things? But like there's one question, what overarching considerations should be identified at the beginning of the process? Second question, candidly, what are some possible unintended consequences we should all be aware of as we start to move the assessment along? And then third question, what ongoing governance concerns need to be considered, right? So there's some I personally feel that those are questions where, right, administratively, we can give some context, some opinion, those kinds of things, but we were uncomfortable answering those because those are questions far beyond any small group of administrators to try to, right, we can give a little bit of context, but I sure hope that municipal affairs goes far above and beyond as far as who they're talking to on those types of questions.
Which is a little bit surprising because that's what we wanted to do as a council when we sent that letter in.
Yeah.
Come and talk to all 10 of us just for a while. It didn't need to be the whole panel, but just to get these things moving forward.
No, come talk to the public.
Well,
That's what our letter states is
for
come
sure.
talk to the public.
For sure, because I mean, I don't think that there's a lot of people that have a fair understanding right now. There's people that have been misled, people that are continuing to be misled and being propped up to have one opinion over the other.
So you're telling me, so just
I'm
to
saying across the
clarify,
board.
because you're making a pretty hefty statement, that you're saying that the individuals that signed,
I'm not saying that one bit.
well, what are you just saying? That people are being
I said
misled?
there are people, yes.
So okay, but which people? The people that signed the petition
I
were
I
misled?
don't think it matters where they are. I
Well,
think
then
it's from
this-
one end to the other end.
Misled about what?
By missed facts
About what? Like, be specific.
about how to move this forward, how this would benefit, how great it would be, or how great it wouldn't be. I think it's both ways. I'm not pointing a finger at anybody. I'm just saying, people don't fully, and I don't think people will fully understand the consequences until it's done.
That's right.
Because there might be consequences that nobody's seen coming.
They won't fully understand the benefits till it's over either.
Well, that's potentially true as well.
Not potentially. It's true, both ways.
So what's a consequence that you'd be concerned about?
What do you mean?
Well, you said they wouldn't understand the consequence. So what's a consequence, a negative consequence that people should be aware of?
There's many.
Well, things like if we actually work together, we're very powerful. And so therefore now you're literally cutting your powers in half.
Yes, but we say that, but then we don't work together.
But
And
I'm
in
just saying that
October-
that is a consequence.
This council has worked better together in the last 3 years than the past council did. So I wouldn't want to guess what's going to happen in October.
And the first council that I sat on, the 10 councilors around the table, the first term I had, were amazing. The projects and the ability to get things done that we did in that first term,
Why did you change so much?
And you know what?
elections happen and seats change.
And you know what? That's exactly why I say, like, I think that
and I'm not taking a jab at any individuals here, but that's why our council shouldn't be allowed to sit here for years and years and years on end. And Walter, you know what, you've done an amazing job here. I'm not saying that against you or anybody, but you know what, to have fresh blood at the table and not have it regurgitated, and like I said, at coffee break, when the old sins have to be laid out there so that I have to pay for somebody's 20 years ago, how do you ever balance things out? And that's what's happened here. I've seen it over and over. And it happens. You guys bring up stuff that what happened on your first term, and nobody forgets, but we don't even know. You don't even know what you're up against. Some of the motions that get made, you already have beef against the motion because of what happened 15 years ago. And that's not right. That's why we can't get along.
Is it not right, or it's called experience?
If you're using it in a negative way to harm your municipality, that's
you-
not good
Are you
experience.
trying to harm your municipality, or are you just trying to make sure it doesn't happen again?
You know what? There's pros and cons, obviously,
There's
right?
a pile of us sitting at this table that have a real distaste for Highway 88 connector and how that borrowing bylaw got rammed through with the promise that that would become an industrial area. And once it was paved and there was water, the industrial area went out the window.
And I agree with you. You know what? I have not one single argument against that. But that decision was made then. That happened. So why should I have to carry that now?
You don't.
I do.
No, you don't.
I do.
But every time we bring up a borrowing bylaw here, I will make sure that all the Ps and Qs are crossed before I'll ever vote for that borrowing bylaw again.
I know.
Those bylaws 74411.
So what part of what I just said is not true then?
That's called
You
experience.
just backed me up.
I'm not killing the municipality by doing it. I'm making sure the Ps and Qs are crossed so it doesn't happen again.
Okay, well, we've sent this, we've approached him several times. He was just here 2 weeks ago and said, you're gonna have to wait till the end of fall. So what we're talking about is asking to look at a bigger picture. That's right in the letter right there that Lisa just read.
So why have we not pushed this letter since March 2020? Like, we're over a year since we actually wrote this letter.
Well, you know, I don't know about you, but I mean, even though I get accused of not giving a rip for anybody else other than my area, I've been fairly consumed with trying to do my best to help Fort Vermilion and to deal with the fires that we had.
Mhm.
And that's been a lot more important than pushing something like this for me.
Okay, but you just nailed it. So I'm not discounting, you know, the last 2 years of disasters that we've had with fires and floods and all the rest of it. But if you don't think that this is a governance disaster for the areas that are actually under this petition, you've totally missed the point again. It
No,
might not be,
because-
we might not be up in flames or underwater, but we're sure the hell drowning.
I know that you have this desire for the municipality or have some kind of expectation, I'm not sure what it is, to save oil industry in and around Zama. And you know, we try, we asked very point blank, is it our tax rates that is driving you out? And they said, no, you could charge us $0 and we would shut down.
And they
It's
said,
not
no, it's
about
not
the
your tax
taxes.
rates. And that same exact year, we increased the tax rates across the board for industrial.
Which are still cheaper than anywhere else.
The cost of doing business is also. But again, you're missing the point. You're missing the whole point. It's not just that. There is so much more. But unless you actually start listening to the people, you guys all came out and we had that impromptu meeting in Zama. Did you actually listen to anybody, anything that was said there?
You know, the one guy said we should keep this municipality together, not split it.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, did you ask him why?
He had 14 years.
That's normally when the truth comes out. And you know what? And I've talked to a lot of people in Rocky Lane that say all the same thing. You guys just need to get along.
How? How do you get along?
Well,
How do you
when
get
you
along?
need,
How do you go back to what Jackie said about when the province comes and asks you for one? Give us one project. Okay, we want to have, we've done all of those things where, you know, in this room where you stick the sticky notes up, what's important to you and everything. You look at our last sustainability plan or our last business plan. Tell me what's in it.
We have such different needs in both sides. Seems like we never agree.
needs or wants?
Both.
Even just the expectations. The expectations in some of these, in some areas is a heck of a lot higher than in other areas.
Yeah,
But that's not
absolutely.
even accounted for. But the expectation to pay for it's not there.
Yeah, that is true.
So it's not just money. It's the way of life. It's what's important. It's the expectation level. It's what's, required to be actually feel to be included. It's the size of the municipality, it's culture, it's religion. It's a whole bunch of things all rolled into one. And to say that we're going to just decide on a map, just drag a map out and everyone grab a colored marker and pick a line is doing a complete and utter disservice.
Josh,
Go ahead, Eric.
just referring back to first 3 years I was on council, Odell Flat was in Fort, and she would say this a number of times when things got hot, and it would something like, there's nothing regional about this region. And these little parts and pieces, what we're talking about here is kind of what she was getting at in all kinds of different ways over time. It's hard to be regional in this region that is fractured.
Well, jealousy does play a very, very strong part,
So does fairness.
and fairness. Absolutely.
Like we could sit here for another 2 hours and talk
Yep.
about that if you want, but I won't go there.
Somebody want to make a motion that we
Turn your mic on.
ask them? I'll make a motion that we ask the minister to look at a larger regional
That's
split.
exactly what our letter said.
No,
Yes. Hold that letter back up, please.
That is exactly what our letter said.
Regarding the potential municipal boundary options.
what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Exactly that. Doesn't mean wards 9 and 10.
Well, okay.
And we were just told 2 weeks ago, it's going to be in October or after October.
But realistically, all they're looking at is Ward 9 and 10 in Rainbow, because that's what the petition asks for, and that's what they're gonna look at. They're gonna decide on it, yes or no, so.
So then do we
Okay,
need
but-
other petitions? Because I'm sure somebody will, I don't know how many people are listening, but I'm sure there'll be another petition going if that's.
Okay, so Walter, you sat here the last time. So when the last, kick at this cat, when the town of Rainbow Lake and the town of High Level got together and said we wanted to take this strip and split the municipality, did municipal affairs just look at that strip? No, that's where whole Nichols Applied Management came from. That's where they looked at all the other options, even right down to Lacrete as a town.
That time.
No, that was when Rainbow and High Level wanted to join, but they had to take a strip of Ward 9 so that they actually touched.
But they looked at,
I
they
never
looked at
look
all
back,
their
I look
options.
ahead. If you guys want to keep looking back, you go ahead. I'm looking
You-
ahead.
Give me an example of the motion you're about to make about a letter. I'd like to hear that through.
Well, just like Jackie suggested, we look at a bigger area than just Ward 9 and 10.
That a letter be sent to the Minister of Municipal Affairs asking that they look at a larger area
For the new municipality.
in the creation of a new municipality.
Why don't we just resend the
No,
letter
no,
that's
no,
already and
that's a
ask for a
different
timeline?
statement.
Because the letter that's in already also includes Rainbow Lake. Sorry, we have
Oh,
a
I
whole
guess,
other
yeah.
municipality in the middle of this.
Walter,
Well, then
Jackie,
we need to make sure that if we're gonna do this, that the
I'm
Rainbow Lake's
sorry
out of
that
it.
Rainbow Lake's not here to speak for themselves.
know, but I'm
they're
just saying-
not.
Okay, but if we do this, does that include Rainbow Lake? Then state very clearly that Rainbow Lake is taken out of the equation then. Because that's not
Sure.
that's not what this says
Sure.
either.
Requesting that they look at a larger area.
to create the new municipality. I knew.
But
and not
Rainbow Lake is a
include
town.
The town of
Like,
Rainbow Lake.
how is, like, can't they just stay a town? Like, would that change? Doesn't matter if, where the line goes, would that change their boundaries? Would that change anything for them?
Again, I don't want to go backwards, but apparently nobody's ever asked the questions of how this got started. The minister has more than once said he will not form a new municipality. Does not want any more municipalities. By dissolving Rainbow and creating a new one, you didn't actually create a one. You got rid of one, you created one. You still got the same number. That's how Rainbow ended up in all this. That and they're probably not going to be viable
Well,
much longer.
that and the bigger part is that the similarities in that area make sense. That's what it is. Rainbow and Zama are very similar. The areas are very similar.
So
The connectivity is similar.
Okay, all in favor? of That motion,
Okay,
who's
just
making
a
that?
What's
Trying to
actually
change to it.
not
That a
including
letter
the
be
town of
sent to the
Rainbow.
Minister of Municipal Affairs requesting they look at a larger area in the creation of a new municipality,
In the restructuring,
in the restructuring.
in the restructuring of Mackenzie County.
No, new municipality, do not say new structure, restructuring, please. I will not
Great.
vote in favor of a restructuring because that could very well just mean a boundary review within the current boundaries.
Okay, I'm fine with that. This is.
Look at a larger area in the creation of a new municipality, not including the town of Rainbow Lake.
Well, they're not here to talk about it.
Yeah, I know, but just leave it up open because they can decide or not later. We're not making that decision.
No. So I don't want to throw them in. I don't know what you want to do, but they're not here to speak for
Why even
themselves.
put their name in there then?
Because they've been a
you're
part of it.
Referring this to the petition. The petition includes them. I know we think it doesn't include them and that we're the powerhouse, but it does include them.
I think everyone knows. They know they can speak for themselves. I wouldn't
Do they?
worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it. I guess this is pretty simple.
Yeah, but it needs to include, not including the town of Rainbow Lake, because they're not here.
Question or mine, Walter?
I'll make it.
Do you want town of Rainbow Lake in there or out of there?
I think they're part of the equation. If they go broke, they'll be part of it. I don't know.
I don't understand why they have to look at a larger area. I thought they were gonna look at Mackenzie County and Rainbow Lake as a whole, not just a little tiny chunk of it.
And how to look
Well,
at
because
splitting the
that's-
municipalities so that it was both sides are equitable and moving forward.
Yeah, because let's just say they
How do
took
you
a,
do it? So both sides are still fairly equitable to move forward.
Well, that's what
just
the
say
original letter said.
regionally, they took it and split it, took the map and folded it in half.
The
Are
comparison,
they gonna make sure that the south or the north or wherever it's split can sustain themselves?
yes.
Look at everything.
That's sustainable.
They have to refresh the work they did with Jerry Fardo and Nichols Applied Management when that request is made. They're refreshing, they're probably doing it right now.
They can't just look at one area and say, okay, yeah, you guys will be fine as a municipality. They gotta make sure that the other municipality is gonna be sustainable.
Do you want to put with or without?
Sure.
Instead of not, and then put them in, put them out. I don't,
Yeah.
that's up
Both
to
of
them
them
what they want to do. Yeah,
Why not add the town hall level in there too right away?
because the town of High Levels residents didn't sign to separate or dissolve.
Yeah, but they've been included in all the emails.
I don't actually care about that.
Have they been? I don't know. Have we seen all the emails?
So who included them?
Can I call a question on the motion now?
Like what, is there multiple emails that are going back and
No.
forth? Well, then what are you referring to?
Just information, like minor stuff. Not even sure. Walters.
Okay, so where does the public roll into play? So again, we're turning this into a political, whichever the 10 counselors are here. And I guess it'll be 10 new, could be potential 10 new counselors come November when they actually
No,
deal
to
with
me,
this.
to me,
Try to
the
move it forward.
minister still has to do his job and deal with the petition, but he can also do this while he's at it.
That's not what this is.
They can look at each area.
Why
and
does
look
this not say that?
feasibilities
I don't
and all
know.
that
Does
stuff.
it?
We're asking to move it
What, that
forward.
kills a petition?
I don't know if it does.
Well, not if the man can read English.
Well,
Okay, any other changes to that motion? All in favor?
the motion reads
Carried.
what?
Letter be sent to municipal affairs requesting they look at a larger. area
And then we'll need a
in
motion to go in
municipality
camera, or do you guys
with
want
or
to have a
without
quick
the town
break?
of Rainbow Lake.
Okay, that requires 2/3 majority because
Let's have a break first.
it's boundary review.
Let's have a
So
break.
it's simple majority?
Okay, let's take a 2-minute break.
Just wait, I
And
think Lisa's
whoever's
onto
on
something
air,
with it.
Was it not unanimous?
Was it
I don't know.
unanimously?
unanimous, no?
Walter said he was. It doesn't matter.
Let's-
No, hold on. We
Let's
need to
wait,
finish what we're doing
still
here.
Discussing.
So is this, and can we include as a CC the last letter that we wrote to remind him? Because obviously we've got 14 different, we've probably a different minute, well, we've got 2 different ministers since then too.
Sure.
We should.
3 different, actually 4.
Okay, and then when we come back, we'll be going in camera. and
Okay,
that'll
so
be the
just
end
a
of the live
clarification,
show.
does this require 2/3 or simple majority and did everybody vote?
It should be unanimous.
Okay, is it unanimous? That's why I'm asking you. Was the
I've
question even asked?
seen every hand, I think, except for yours and Cam go up, and I don't even know if I've seen Cam's go up or not.
Mine was up.
And it's unanimous. It didn't require unanimous, but it is unanimous.
Says unanimous.
But yeah, I mean, I think a letter, to write a letter it should be simple majority, right? We're not changing a boundary, we're asking to review a boundary.
Yeah.
So it would be simple majority. With that, we're going to take a break and that'll be the end of the live show for everybody else. So hope you enjoyed the entertainment.